This is my pregnant bull shark installation. They're pretty incredible animals, aren't they? These bull sharks were all females and pregnant. They come back here every year to this very specific location in Mexico to get ready and give birth in the neighboring mangroves. That's how I was able to know that they would be there. It was one of the most incredible experiences I ever had. Those sharks are huge and are sentient beings. They can actually sense your heartbeat from very far away. They can get a sense of how you feel before they actually see you. And they're very curious. They definitely had never seen anybody creating an installation underwater. And that's how I got this image, because they came very, very close to see what I was doing. Sharks have existed for 450 million years at least. They're a very ancient species. And as we know now, the most ancient form of life on Earth almost certainly comes from the ocean. And that explains why there is such an important biodiversity in the ocean. Actually, it hosts 80% of our planet's biodiversity. Today, a lot of these species, from the biggest to the smallest, are at risk of extinction because of overfishing, climate change, invasive species, and pollution. Just to give you an example, an average of 190 of our beautiful sharks, those perfect animals, are killed every minute for the simple reason that some of us humans want to eat their fins.